Adam, I'd love to know from your perspective in law enforcement and having worked with so many women and children, what are some effective strategies that you'd like to see platforms like ECP's platforms implement to protect the innocent?
In all reality, a lot of the stuff that Soloman has explained is a lot of the things that I would have liked to have seen 5 and 10 years ago, and the proactive measures that they're taking, especially with like AI coming out, and there's so many fakes. And I'm really glad to see that you view the deep fakes from AI exactly the same as if it were real person content. The easier pathway that we give somebody to view the content that's illegal and that harms our children, the more they're going to seek it out.
Yeah, Adam, Canada made that decision about 35 years ago to treat virtual depictions, whether it's hand-drawn, a cartoon, or 3D rendered, very realistic, or even written depictions of child sex abuse material, to treat it like an actual photograph or video of a child, which was very controversial at the time. That's the policy that Aylo has adopted, that's the standard, that CSAM child sex abuse material includes even human-generated child or machine-generated child sex abuse material. And for exactly those reasons. As a social norm, this is something that we very much want to discourage because of the harms that it creates. And in Canada, the Supreme Court decided that what this does is it does a couple of things. First of all, it normalizes sexual interactions with children. It also, and I think this is what you're getting at, it creates a market for the sexual abuse of children. Even though this individual image or story or whatever itself did not victimize an actual child, it promotes the victimization of young people by sexualizing them and normalizing sexuality and creating this demand for it. So, in the United States, the law is a little different, but regardless of law, I always say, and this is wearing my vice president of compliance hat, complying with the law is like putting your pants on in the morning. You don't get a gold medal for it. It's just expected. What Aylo does as a company goes far beyond just the legal requirements in the areas in which it operates, and that's one example.
Very nice. I do have a question about I'm going to say hiring practice, but do you guys actually employ actors and actresses to be in the videos, or is it all uploaded content from just your general citizens? Is it like a 1099 situation? How does all that work?
Yeah, great question. So essentially there are two streams of content that goes up on Pornhub and the other video sharing platforms. One is through the verified uploader program, also known as the model program. That's what we described, where Aylo takes the age, identity, and consent of every uploader and everyone appearing in content, stores that securely, verifies it, moderates it, etc. The second stream of content is through the content partner program. This is from professional studios, okay? Not Aylo itself, but other professional studios. And it's really important to underscore that. That content goes through the exact same moderation process to the same moderation standards as the content from verified uploaders. So the content comes from either individuals, amateurs, etc., who are verified, or from studios, but it all goes through the same moderation process. On the other side of the business, on the pay site or the premium side of the business, Aylo commissions content from professional studios, content that it then owns and then sells sort of on a Netflix monthly subscription model. But once again, that's all produced according to the standards and on the same moderation principles and trust and safety principles as the verified uploader content, so it's just really important that whatever the source of that content is, the verified uploader, content partners, or studios commissioned by Aylo, the trust and safety standards are one and the same.
Yeah, with a lot of those actresses, statistically speaking, it is probably likely that not all of them are doing this voluntarily. Is there any measures being taken to fight trafficking in this space?
Yeah, so the platforms take extraordinary measures to do it. So I'll start at the very beginning. The verified uploader requirement itself is a massive factor in fighting trafficking, because that means that the account holder has now been identified as a real person. That's a huge disincentive for somebody to exploit others for their own gain, having given all their personal information. The second one is on the payout side. So the company is very serious about ensuring, and has a number of controls in a number of different areas to ensure that the individuals getting the financial benefit are the people who themselves are appearing in content, right? Which once again is another disincentive to the exploitation side. right? You exploit someone by taking the financial benefit of their work, but by controlling where those payouts go and ensuring that we have all the information about the recipients and beneficiaries, that's another way that we cut it off. We also work with anti-sex trafficking organizations. So an example of that would be the Cupcake Girls out of Nevada. Signed a partnership with them to, number one, promote best practices to fight sex trafficking, but also Aylo collaborated with the Cupcake Girls to produce educational videos for individuals working in this arena as to how to avoid exploitation and stay away from sex trafficking and putting themselves in vulnerable situations. So the answer, Adam, is yes, yes, and yes. We take a really top-down approach to ensure that the individuals producing this content are doing so voluntarily and are not being exploited through any external factors. Now, I need to underscore this because it's so important in this work. I had a number of misconceptions, I would say, before I got into this ownership group role about the industry, whether it was about exploitation or coercion, et cetera. In that time, we have consulted with, and I've heard from individually dozens and dozens, and we've done consultations with hundreds and hundreds of creators who maintain that this is their livelihood. This is their vocation. This is work that benefits them financially, in fact, that supports them financially. And I always say it's a grave error to conflate sex work with sex trafficking. It's the same error as conflating work and slavery. There is work, and some people, by the way, love their jobs. Some people don't like their jobs. Some people have easy jobs. Some people have hard jobs. Some people have good days at work and bad days at work, but none of them are slavery. What we have a zero tolerance for and put our money where our mouth is, both in internal controls and in support for organizations, is fighting slavery, sex trafficking. That is absolutely unacceptable. And to us, we don't want there to be any overlap between those two worlds, and we're doing everything possible in order to prevent that.